What is going on, Replo fam? Your boy Sanjay Jenkins. We've got an interesting one for you today. We have KG with us, who is the CEO. It's paythetrolltolls.com, a service that's using Shopify. It's a service-based company that sells on Shopify. That in itself is rare. And basically what they do is you can hire trolls on demand. And the reason I know about this business is I used it in my personal life. And KG was very effective, and it was was very willing to come on the pod. So here we are, non-standard pod issue, but I think we're gonna go through a lot of really cool things here. So KG, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm excited to be on this adventure with you.
No, hey, we're happy to have you part of our family. Happy to be part of your family. I did not realize you were going to let the cat out of the bag. That you're not also a fan. You're a client.
I think it's I'm okay sharing that I'll use it. I think it's a good thing. It was a net positive for me. I don't think the outcome that I wanted happened per se, but the boys and I got some laughs out of it at the very least, and I'll take that. I think I remember telling my fiance. I'm not going to go into detail about why I hired your service, but I remember telling my fiance about it when she came home, and this is after the person that I was trolling had texted me and questioned me if I was doing it, and I said no, and I explained the whole thing to her, and I have not seen her laugh that hard in a long time. So,
that's
again,
good.
The outcome that I wanted wasn't, exactly what happened, but that you did everything that I could have asked for, so that was great.
No, well, I appreciate that. It's funny, fiancés, in-laws, they all seem to react the same way to an idea of hiring trolls on the internet.
Well, that's good to know. Katie, take me back to the very beginning, because I know right before we started recording, you were telling me about your origin story. But before we get to the origin story, in your words, tell us what you do and tell us why.
So I make trolls, internet trolls, like you know them, real people on the internet who have something to say about everything. I make them available to anyone willing to pay. And how and what types of missions they take on is completely up to you, the user. Good, bad, indifferent. Just want a voice a little louder. Want it to look like you have more people on your side. All become available when you go to paythetrolltoll.com and hire our trolls. A lot of people think of a troll, an internet troll, they think it's just somebody cyberbullying or making fun of the things you can't control. We probably have a straight 50-50 split between people saying some negative things versus people on there on promoting some of the great stuff people are doing every day.
I love it. I think one of the natural questions that people would have, it's one that I did initially, because I heard about your service a couple months ago, and then it popped up in my Twitter feed because a friend of mine was going through some weird business issue and had someone had commented and said, hey, check out this service. And so the B2B kind of takedown aspect was kind of interesting to me, and I use it for trying to promote good behavior with one of my friends. But I'm kind of curious to know where you draw the line as a company and what you can and can't do. What is the limit here?
So believe it or not, we work hand in hand with a lot of attorneys and have frequent meetings with them regarding what we can and can't do, what we can advertise and cannot advertise.
Mm-hmm.
We don't do hate speech. We don't do bullying. We limit everything we do to a maximum of 6 days before taking a mandatory 24-hour break. Wow. Once you hit that week period, there's a lot of claims somebody can make legally if they wanted to. And so we work with a lot of those parameters. We don't deal with anything involving votes. If somebody says, I want to get 20 votes, we won't do it. And in politics, we have decided moving forward we won't participate, but in the past, we have worked with some candidates and helping them with comments, not on the voting side of things. But there's a lot of gray area. And in our world, we consider ourselves in that alcohol casino world of syndustries. And because of that, even though we have trolls or the wise guys in the back of the classroom, we prioritize really good decision makers, and that's you'd be surprised the type of people who work at Troll Toll who are taking on this job part time as a hobby or a little extra income, because a lot of them are teachers. A lot of them are people who live by doing the right thing.
That's actually really cool. I would never have guessed. And that's another question. Like, who are who are these people? How do you hire them? How big is your company? Like, there's so many things. We'll start with this though. You
Yes.
mentioned, okay, you've got like teachers here,
Right.
that are part of your ecosystem. Is that like the typical makeup? Like, and are these just contractors? Or are they?
They're
Do you
all
pay them as a-
contractors.
Okay.
We've no full-time employees. I don't believe in it. All
Okay.
contractors, so the expectations are there. Um, we have a lot of teachers who like to do it on weekends or their days over at 3 o'clock. A lot of creative writers, aspiring screenwriters, that type of thing, comedian, in that vein, who like to get creative and keep sharpening their knife, their tool set there. And then there's some college kids. They're the hardest to deal with. They're the you never know what you're going to get, and it takes. They see a bigger opportunity. They think if this can grow, and it has, and it's shown that it will, that they can do something they like and be proud of their work, helping people, and also pay their rent. It is hard though. Like there's a lot of people who will reach out and they'll say, "Hey, I'd be perfect for this. I already do it for free. I'm a troll. I'm a troll." 9 out of 10 times, that person, you wouldn't trust them to walk your dog. They're exactly what you expect, and you just can't count on them. It's this like diamond in the rough person willing to do this that also has a head on their shoulders that I'm out there for. And there's right now I have access to 2,234 different people. I'll send an email out, tell them about the current jobs I'm working on, and if they can fit it into their schedule, it's theirs.
I was surprised by how quickly you all started working on my project. It had to be 30 minutes or less. And I got an email, I got several emails, like give us all the details of your
Right,
project.
right.
But then the actual the actual like work began so fast. So as soon as a project comes in, do you just have like the email goes out to like everybody? Do you have some sort of ranking system, or like how do the jobs actually get processed in the back end?
It's a lot probably like how some other people's workflows go that you speak to, where it's like good data in, good data out. The more
Hmm.
someone tells me about what's going on, the faster I can get it to the right people, or who's ever on top of it can take care of it. But yeah, that email goes out as quickly as possible because we want somebody who feels a connection to it. That's really the best way to get a result, is somebody who's like, oh, I have a friend who's just like this. I wish I could have done things differently. Here's my opportunity.
Hmm. It was, yeah. I mean, it was like lightning speed, and I think your team, like everybody, the contractors you had on it, like handled everything with such tact. It was also like $35. So I'm
Right.
like, the math is really fascinating to me. Like, obviously, if you're paying it out on a contractor basis, I'm sure it's. Are you paying it like upon completion? Like your troll does the job, you pay him out, or do you like accrue? How does that work? How do you think through that?
So I think what I've found and what I'm going to learn as I grow with this business is I don't charge enough that these people do a nice job and they get the
Hmm.
results folks are looking for, and they should be making a lot more. But right now, most people are able to most people working for me are able to handle a few things at once, and that
Hmm.
allows me to pay them pretty well for an hour of their time.
Hmm.
I have most folks who, if they're doing 2 or 3 jobs at a time, they can make $50 an hour. And for some of these teachers, if they can bring home $200 a weekend, it is a game changer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's okay. That makes sense. And it's stacking jobs, it's very easy. I can see that now. Like, I mean, you run in a way you're running a very specialized staffing agency, right?
Right, right.
It's just like it's on a specific task, which I really love. You were mentioning to me before we started recording about how when you first started this, you actually like asked Shopify about setting up a
Right.
service business, and you had a great analogy. So I'd love for you to tell that bit while we're recording because I think it was a great way to think about it.
Yeah. So when I started, I knew I wanted to be on Shopify, just for the same reason everyone wants to be on Shopify.
Mm-hmm.
But I was concerned that I didn't meet the criteria, and obviously in the troll business world, it's challenging to describe your business to somebody and have them get on board. So there I am talking to a sales rep from Shopify, and I'm saying to them, "Well, do you allow services?" And they were like, "For instance, what did you have in mind?" I was like, "Well, do you have anybody who just offers a service?" And they said, "We do with a lot of automotive, a lot of auto body, car places where you place your windshield, get an oil change,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it may be." And I was like, "That's perfect. Then we're all good. You can handle me." That's how I feel too. I'm giving people access to Ferraris.
I love that. I love that framing. I also love like sometimes you do have to coach Shopify through like what you're doing there. When I brought this recording to the Replo team, that was what everyone got hung up on. It wasn't like the troll stuff was like, okay, cool, sure, but they
Right.
were like a service business on Shopify was the most fascinating thing everyone stuck to. And I do think like more people probably should try. I don't think it's for everybody, but I will say it's like seeing your business on Shopify opened my eyes to kind of what's possible in the platform, and I'm sure there's a lot of back end glue that you've had to put down to keep all the systems working together. I mean, you're 3 years or so into this business, is that right?
Yeah, right. 3 years. So my background's actually, I worked in the talent world at a
Mm-hmm.
traditional agency, and then I got into marketing, digital marketing specifically, because I was doing it in the early days of like when a celebrity would be selling a post on Instagram. That's like really what my background was in, and I got into digital marketing, and I was working with a small business, and they were paying me for services, and I was doing the blogs and the SEO and the Facebook ads and all that, all the standard stuff. And his main competitor was this person with a very similar product, and it said "Made in America" on the product page. However, when you received the product, it clearly had a sticker that said China on it. And
Ooh.
he said, "I don't have another dollar for marketing. All I want is for everyone to know that this product is made in China. And at least if I lose, I'll lose fighting a fair fight."
Mm.
And I said, "Well, light bulb, that might be possible." And instead of running ads for the business, I ran ads as a third party, as like a media source, saying, "Just check on this before you buy it. There's pictures on the Amazon reviews that say China. There's a picture of the product here that says China. Don't have to take my word for it, but just check it out on your own." And he was satisfied and became customer number one of Troll Toll. He went to the country club to play some golf that weekend, and by the end of the month, I had 5 of his buddies on board.
That's wild, and it's okay. So how did that like business shake out? Like, is the people making the false claims, are they still around? Do you know? Like,
Their business has taken a significant hit.
yeah.
Um, I, I don't. The original business hasn't exactly been gangbusters, but it gave him the confidence to move forward and to
Mm.
continue. And I think otherwise he would have given up. And sometimes that's all it takes is just to feel like there you're in this. Like things are going to be
Hmm.
okay.
And you signed up as buddies. Were you still doing pay per project, or have you had these like did
I,
you ever do retainer stuff?
yeah. So that all those when I work with a business, it typically becomes retainer just because they don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen, and they realize they want it for other things. They start thinking and getting creative with it. Last year there was a tabletop company that was in that space, and they lost a judgment over the materials that they used. I Company came to us and they said, "All we want is more people to know about this." Not a
Hmm.
problem. That's what we can do. And then they got to thinking, and they're like, "Well, there's also this issue too. Can you do that?" Or we have people in the comments telling their friends to go with something else. Can you go in there and give your opinions? And it's so with a lot of businesses, what becomes a one-off project quickly becomes part of the team.
That's really it's there's yeah. My brain's turning. I will say as a disclaimer to anyone that may be watching, if you are a competitor of ours, I personally shall not engage in paying KG over here just as an act of goodwill to the community. But if you come after me, just know I've got the source right here on the pods.
Yeah,
Um,
that's right. That's yeah. I did actually. I was speaking to someone over at Barstool Sports, and they didn't realize I was on the phone already. And they were giving away like all the company secrets. I'm like, I'm the wrong guy to make this mistake with.
Goodness. Oh
Uh,
man, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, so there's got to be a ton of stories, and I know one of the things that I really appreciate about everything you've said, both to me, privately, and in your marketing on your website, very extensively. You take privacy so seriously. Um, with that being said, can you give us some of your like favorite stories without going into like the who's and the what's?
Absolutely. I can give you a story right now that's current events in the world right now. There's a movie that came out last summer that featured an actress who's pretty popular from a CW TV show, and the
Don't
movie
tell
was
me that this is the Baldodi stuff right now.
I didn't say that. Uh,
You didn't say anything.
I didn't say anything. I'm not saying a word about any of these people. But we had a person, and this I can confirm. The email that sent in the information had no direct ties, similar names to anyone you would recognize. Like, there's no
Mm-hmm.
reason you would assume this email and the person's name associated would have any ties to the story, to the family, to or have an
Mm-hmm.
opinion on it. However, the information that they sent over knew when particular articles were going to come out and knew some background on it outside of what was available. And I mean, that was like, hey, look, mom, I made it moment.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's so wild. Yeah, that's. I mean, I'm a real sucker for stuff like that, and I've been deep in the deep in a lot of the goss, I guess. But it's so cool to talk to someone who's kind of in this space. Part of why we do this podcast is like to kind of teach people not just like technical stuff about setting up Shopify stores and ads and landing pages and shit like that, but like it's also like understanding like the fundamentals of marketing. And I feel like one of the things that you've been able to do is like you've been able to like you understand the media at its truest level. Would you say that's a fair read on you?
That's what I try to do at least. What I am coming to realize is there's a lot of traditional media out there that's still pretty old school, that still plays by the old rules,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going tit for tat with anything, and they kind of hold you hostage, and will thwart some things. But there's also like this new group of people, and it's okay sometimes for somebody to assume something about you if it can get a conversation started.
Mm-hmm. And did you ever read Trust Me I'm Lying by Ryan Holiday?
No, I'm a Ryan Holiday fan though.
Oh
Um,
wow. Yeah, so Trust Me I'm Lying is literally like a book on like it's a very quick book but about media manipulation. The very first Ryan Holiday book I ever read. And he like talks about when he was running American Apparel, I think uh they did like Sasha Grey billboards and it like
oh,
broke the
nice.
internet and stuff like that. And trading up the chain where he would seed a blogger with information and then it would eventually get picked up by like USA Today or something.
Right, right.
And so I've always been fascinated by this, and I've been fascinated within the context of how do I use those principles to grow businesses and try to do so in a way that's like like I don't feel terrible about it. I guess like I'm trying to use the media, understanding what it is without like I don't know, like hurting people. Um, and my question to you here is, how do you, how would what advice do you give to like say businesses, again context of our audience, but like to businesses that are trying to get more reach, get their message out, like really maybe turn um, the court of public opinion in their favor? Like what's that set of plays that you're giving people?
I think where a lot of people get lost, and this is just my opinion, is they work too hard to kind of tell the DJ what song to play next.
Mm,
When in reality, they need to learn to dance to what the DJ's playing.
mm-hmm.
Um, Most brands, and as they should, they really only have one thing that they're doing out there. They just don't have stuff that's exciting enough to get people talking. And then when they try to do these spectacles and these marketing campaigns, assuming that it's going to be on the nightly news, it just doesn't. It always falls flat. I think you got to see what someone's doing, what interests them, like what has the media going, and see how you can fit into that, to make it about you. Like even the Super Bowl ads where
Mm-hmm.
they take like Kendrick Lamar's dancing, and you had the airline said that that's what people are doing when they are waiting for their luggage. Like they do that same move. They found a way to like fit that narrative without going too far, or even really like making it about them, which is the other thing. Like there's a ton of humility that it requires to get someone to take a chance on you, especially if you're trying to utilize their platform. You know, I was part of some big groups helping them with some different campaigns to make it seem like there was more hype, more excitement surrounding them than there actually was. And
Mm-hmm.
and I could tell, very early on that they're very ego-driven things. Were founders who were on these like 30 under 30 lists, and it was really important to them to just keep the accolades coming, show their mommy and daddy how great things are, get their artwork put up on the refrigerator, and it just didn't resonate with anybody. Then you have these other people who don't care because they've already done it. They don't care because they're not putting any money into their pocket. They're just hungry for something, and there's something earnest about it. And that's what the media is going. They're like, wait a second, you're a founder who hasn't paid yourself. You have a graphic designer making more than you are. All of a sudden, you're in ad week.
Mm-hmm. And that goes back to I guess like not exciting enough, not meaningful enough, not something that the average person is going to resonate with. I think that's great advice. Like I think I spent a lot of time on this podcast telling people like, hey, you have to have like a great offer for whatever your e-com thing is.
Right.
And that's like functionally what this is, right? Is that being too reductive?
No, that's exactly what it is. It's meeting people with where they are. There's like
Mm-hmm.
nothing we couldn't come to them and say, well, here's a solution. Very frequently, it all comes down to listening. I can count, all my fingers, all my toes, the amount of times in the last month somebody's canceled a project midway through just because they talked it through with us, heard themselves say it out loud, and felt a lot better about the situation.
Mm.
There's something to be said for looking at a customer as a partner and not just money in your pocket.
And this is what you do full time, right? This is like this is your main thing.
This is my main thing. It is my 6 to 6.
Yeah.
I'm in it every day. I'm looking through every file we go through, making sure everybody follows all the protocols, and the goal is simple. We want to help people. We want to support people. We want to take this on. I don't see a future of this world without trolls.
Yeah. And there's going to be more channels, more touch points. Yeah, different.
When I watch all these sci-fi movies and stuff, I watch Mad Max. You just look around. I'm like, that's where a troll could fit in right now, just sending around some disinformation.
That's fantastic. Uh, I gotta ask, how many times have you used the trolls for your own life, whether it's personal or professional?
Gosh, that's a good question. I suppose I do it a lot. A lot of the stuff, like I'll post online or whatever. I'll make sure my whole gang knows about it, like all the likes and the shares and stuff. No one actually cares. Those are all
Uh-huh.
people who get paid.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. Doing it for the check, that's okay.
Right.
And did you think like 3 years ago you're doing that first little experiment, made in
Right.
America, made in China? Do you have any idea like this vision was going, like, or let me ask slightly differently. How soon into this process did you see like the vision emerge, like the
I
ecosystem start to grow?
I'll just be very transparent. I was doing all this. I came from a talent world that was
Hmm.
cool. If I went to a party and I told someone what they do, they'd want to talk to me more. Then I went into this marketing world where no one cared, and
Yeah.
it was tough. It was it was a shot to my ego. And
Hmm.
when I started telling people about Troll Toll and what was going on here, they started to listen again. I was like, you know what? I can let's see what happens here. And then from that original group, that original golf buddy group that became retainer clients, one of them offered to buy me, like straight
Oh
up,
wow.
straight there. And he's like, I just want you to work for me. You'll be my company under my wing, and I can just sick you on people. And it wasn't like life changing money or anything. And I
Hmm.
was like, there are people who see value here. Um, I gotta put all of my skills into this and my energy and see what happens. And even in the early years of a startup and when you're betting on yourself, life isn't that expensive. You get a little older and that changes, and you're like, can I really afford this? And I was fortunate enough to be in a place where I could take that risk.
That's awesome. And do you like to grow it now? Are you running ads? Like I would imagine a lot of your traffic comes from word of mouth because I've told a lot of people in my life about having used your service to service, etc. But yeah, how are you getting customers outside? I guess just media.
It's all word of mouth right now. I've run ads before. I've had ads going, and the ROAS is like sensational and phenomenal. But
Sure.
it also brings with it like a lot of trouble. Like
Hmm.
I would say the majority of the leads I get through ads are the majority of them are people that just shouldn't have these kind of powers. Great power comes great responsibility, and it's they're going too far. I had this gentleman. He was allegedly a big time poker player and had endless money. He could change my life if, and he would have a project for me every month. He didn't want to just troll people. He wanted to make sure they could never work in this country again. He wanted to
Mm.
make sure their licenses were revoked, and it was you could tell it was all petty because they went to some nightclub together and he felt embarrassed. I was like, these are the type of people I'm going to find. The people who find me, it's always from a place of wanting justice,
Yeah.
feeling like they just need a buddy, and that's what
Hmm.
we want to be. I mean, the way I sometimes explain it to people is like troll toll is the fraternity, like
Yeah.
where you pay for your brothers.
Yep. And I had that experience. I will say, like, uh, when I was doing the project with you, I was going through something really difficult, didn't know how to navigate, um, and the process of all the questions that you asked about what's going on, what are the parameters, what are the channels we can contact this person, what's like all kind of allowed, what not to do. That was like a very it was like essentially I was like in therapy about this
Right.
particular situation, which is I think why it was such a I guess like a rewarding experience in a way, and I commend you for that. Like the reason why I wanted to talk to you more than like cool like we're doing the podcast whatever haha media, but like I just think this is a fantastic service, and I know that there are probably situations where you have to go do some wet work in a way, but like this I think is probably like a net benefit to the people that use it.
Uh, that's how I look at it. I mean, that's how some of the people who helped me out look at it. There's still some folks who are like you couldn't do anything better with your life. You couldn't do. I to those people who don't really understand what's going on, I'm likely never to change your mind, and that's fine. But I just hope if you ever find yourself in a situation where you could use a friend online, you just know we
Yep.
exist, and because
Yep.
that's we can find a way to work with anybody if there's a goal they're trying to accomplish.
I love it. I love it. KG, before we leave, I've got a couple questions for you.
Yeah, no,
Are you allowed?
all the questions. Let's go.
Are you allowed to tell us about how much money this business brings in?
Yeah, I can give you some figures. So on with our retainer clients alone, so they're all businesses, law firms, real estate groups, different D2C businesses who also use Shopify,
Hmm.
and with those people alone, we're making $400,000 a year.
Oh wow. Okay,
Uh, and
that's
then
fantastic.
yeah, then everything above that is it fluctuates a little bit around the holiday season, and this is something everyone should keep in mind. We are the most busy during the holidays, and not because we're running sales. It's because all of you have issues with your families and won't just talk about it. We go.
That's so great.
Our biggest day ever was July 4th.
Oh my gosh, everyone's just aggro at the
They
lake.
they come home and they're like that. I had one hot dog. I'm starving. My sunburn stinks, and I need to go complain.
Oh my gosh, that's wild. It makes sense. It like the logic tracks for me, but like that is
Right.
yeah, that's wild. Um, KG, before we leave, any advice? What like one piece of advice you could leave this a stranger listening to this?
My one piece of advice for anyone listening to this is everybody out there is a human, and we make mistakes. We can learn from them. We cannot learn from them. It could take us a few tries, but in the end, if you just listen and you give someone an opportunity, you'll like them. Not
Mm,
everything has to be a war. I understand that's going to put me out of business. There's so many inquiries we get every day where it's like, this is just a miscommunication. I wish these people could see it. We've been working on this month-long project for this woman just because her sister is dating the wrong guy. And you just want to say, he's the wrong guy to you. He seems perfectly fine. Like
yeah.
it's we're all just people trying to figure it out. No one's doing anything that intentionally, and if they are, it's from some bigger thing. And if they could just
Hmm.
understand each other's perspective, we'd all just get along.
I think the world would look a lot differently if we had a mass adoption of that philosophy. But
Uh,
I wish for that too, and I think
yeah,
that's
I have a
fantastic
question
advice.
for you though, if you have another
Yeah,
minute for me.
yeah, I do. Yeah.
So you deal obviously with a lot of small businesses, a lot of big businesses, a lot of all types of businesses. How do you feel about businesses that have no business doing so, offering opportunity to buy hats and T-shirts from them? Like I will never be able to design or offer you the same quality that a true apparel company could, but I have a
Hmm.
lot of inquiries. Can I get the troll hat? Can I get the T-shirt that says I'm a troll?
Yeah.
And from the official partner, do you think it's uh, kind of cheesy, or do you think swag always plays?
I, I think I think I mean as with most things, I think like the execution does matter, but
Right.
I think the swag would play here. Um, I think you should speak to my boy Gary Darna. I've never actually worked with him. I got close, but he is probably like the best merch guy. And to talk about doing the execution well, he is the one that can do it. A lot of my counterparts in other e-com SaaS companies have used him, and I have some of their stuff, and it's fantastic. So just like I think if you're gonna do it, like commit to the bit,
Yeah. Right. Right.
and like do some nice stuff. Otherwise, like it's probably not worthwhile. Like our or one of our biggest competitors, who I don't actually see as much of a competitor. I think we can coexist, but the world doesn't view it that way. Um, they had this like crazy good merch drop, and I sat there thinking I was like upset for like the first 30 minutes of
Right.
that merch existing and seeing it all go out. And then I was like, you know what? They had the budget, they executed it well, it got with them what they needed. I gotta respect the hustle there. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I answered your question correctly, but like
No, you did.
I think it plays.
One of our early consultants was a guy from Red Bull, and there you can get the jackets, the whatevers from
Yes.
Red Bull, but ultimately it's about the drink. And I also realized that there's a ton of stairs between us and Red Bull, but it does get you thinking that if one person walked around with the hat, someone asked where they got it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I'd say like Liquid Death, I think Liquid Death adopted the Red Bull playbook for canned water, right? That's all it
Right,
is.
right.
And I don't see too much Liquid Death merch, but I think their product itself is like designed with that similar philosophy.
Right, but then you have like the email company,
Yeah.
Iterable, sending around
Yeah.
socks
Yeah.
that I couldn't even remember where I got them.
Yeah. I mean, and that's happening more and more. Like I know there's Yotpo, like I'm just gonna be very reductive of Yotpo. Eli, if you're listening to this, I'm so sorry. But they do pop ups. That's like one of their main things is pop ups, and they sent out like these custom Nikes, and
Oh, that's
it
cool.
was so and it was like their brand colors, and they have like a story about it. Actually, I have something great. I'm about to do a plug on my desk. I've got this little truck. It's from Agile Media Group. That's mirrored here, but they what I just found out, and they've got a picture of my cats. These are all like my Twitter profile links. But what I just found out is that one of the co-founders of Agile gets these toy trucks and then has these stickers made and actually puts these on himself, puts it back in the box, and he sends these out. That's how they get customers. That's how they get like. I mean, this has been on my desk for over a year now, and this is the first time I've ever shown it on camera. But like here you are. It's a kind of a marketing moment. I think again, if you do it well enough, I think there's like I think if you take the extra 30 seconds to think through how to do it well, that's when it's worth doing.
Right. All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. And I'll make sure when we jump off, if you want to connect, I'll put you in touch. But KG man, if you're in Dallas, let me know. We're getting a drink together. Or if you don't drink, we're gonna have a meal together. And if I'm ever in whatever city you're in, I'm gonna hunt you down. And
Hey, I have that. That's like I don't show my face for the sake of my family.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm in South Florida. You come find me. I have nothing to hide. But yeah, it's a crazy thing. What happened in like the early days of the business, I was accused. Troll Toll was accused of meddling in somebody's marriage and being the reason like the family was falling apart.
Yep.
We had nothing to do with it. I think the person looked into us. I think the person used our chat box. I think they said, this is something I'm considering, but they never went through with it. And they started to launch a bunch of threats and everything. I was like, I gotta be careful here because it's not the people who actually hire us. It's going to be the people who want someone to blame.
Yep, makes sense. And I respect that. And obviously, when we jump off, I'll make sure that when we stop recording, I'll make sure we get all the details on what we can and can't share. But
Sure.
I think you've been incredibly transparent. I think you've been incredibly kind to me specifically because obviously this conversation started with me being a customer of yours, and then it just kind of growing from there.
Well, that was the funniest part. I go through all the records and everything, and I see the names that come through because we then have to store them and put them in a way where like the privacy is protected should there ever be a hack or anything or legal wants to go through it. And I see your name, and I'm on X just doing my thing, and I see your name again, and I saw like the whole story of how your name came to be. I'm like, how many? Just the uniqueness of that in and of itself. I was like, there can't be more than one of these.
That's so awesome. No, I'm actually the only one in the world, and that wasn't the case up until a few years ago. So there's a black woman in Florida, I think, whose name is Sanjay Jenkins, and she capitalizes the J in the name. And I've messaged her on Facebook since like 2012. And like at first it was like I wanted the Twitter handle and like Facebook was the only way. So I still Facebook friends with this woman, but she just would never respond. But she got married a couple years ago. She changed her last name, so I'm officially one of one.
That's too funny. Yeah. When I saw it, I was like, wait a second. And I've seen people communicate with you like in the community, in the greater digital marketing community and everything. And I was like, All right, this is meant to be.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's so cool. I'm really glad I had an opportunity to share that story too. But no, this is fantastic, man. And I'm sure we'll do this again. We'll have to get you on more of these. And I just thank you for your time and your generosity with the stories you've shared, with the
No,
knowledge
yeah,
you've
that
dropped.
I love to next time just if we could think of like some examples. I'd love to tell more stories, things you wouldn't believe some of this stuff,
Yeah,
especially from businesses and what they're trying to do, what's going on out there, and I don't just think for a lot of this community is based on what someone else is doing, what's best practices, and then just kind of
yes,
copying it. If I think just to get people's imagination going, that sometimes the way forward isn't written yet.
yeah, yeah. No, I think we'll do a much more tactical episode next time. And I totally agree. I think we need to break free from just like endless copycats and
Right. What's
teach.
AG1 doing? Let's do it.
Yes. Oh, yeah. It's like everyone thinks their funnel is going to work the same, and their offers going to
Right.
convert like AG ones.
Right. Right.
But KG, thank you so much, man. I
No, thank
appreciate
you.
you.
This was great.
Yeah.